structures that are on the skull, okay? So the first one is the occipital bone. The occipital bone is this bone right back here, okay? On this dog, it's right here. This is a pig. So the occipital bone is this bone right back here, okay? It's a little bit different because this is going to be your interparietal on a pig, and this is the occipital bone right here. The next one is the frontal. The frontal bone is this bone right here, okay? On this dog right here. You can see on some of these the division via the sutures. So the frontal bone stops right here and stops right here. So all of this is frontal. The incisive, well, that's pretty easy. That's where the incisors on the upper jaw are. So right here, incisive. And on this guy, you can see there's a little spot that comes all the way up and around. This is all the incisive. Okay? The next one is the interparietal. Well, the interparietal, and I should actually grab out a cat too, but the interparietal is just this little bone right here. On dogs, it's fairly small. It's just this little area like this. On this pig, it's a little bit bigger. This is all interparietal here. Okay? Lacrimal. Lacrimal's pretty easy. You look inside the orbit of the eye, and you see that big hole right there? That little bone right there, and you can see the sutures right here and here. That's the lacrimal bone. The mandible, that's that one right there. This whole piece, okay? The maxilla, I'll show you on this boxer skull. Maxilla goes from here all the way up to here and around like that. From the canine to all of the molars on the upper arcade. This whole area, that's the maxilla. The nasal, it's these thin little bones that run just right down right here. That's the nasal. On the pig, definitely a little bit bigger, but you can see the color variation where the sutures are. So this is all nasal bone here. Okay. The foramen magnum, that's that big hole. Okay, that's where the spinal cord goes. A little bit smaller on the dog, but that's the foramen magnum. The parietal, that's going to be this big round globe part right here on the skull. And the sutures, you can see it right here, right here. This is the parietal. This is the interparietal, parietal. The temporal bone, that is going to come right off the temple here, just like this, and half of it makes up the zygomatic arch. Goes just like that. You can see the split, just like that. That's the temporal bone, and then the zygomatic bone comes just like this. It makes up our cheekbone right here, and those two together make up the zygomatic arch. This is the orbit of the eye. Orbit of the eye. Oh, the tympanic bulla. The tympanic bulla are these little rounded areas on the bottom, just like this. Look like little bulbs. Let's see what the tympanic bulla looks like on this pig here. These are the tympanic bulla right here. Okay. The external acoustic meatus. Well, the external acoustic meatus is actually this hole right here. Okay, so this little hole right here is where the tympanic membrane stretches across. It's where the eardrum stretches across. Oh, I chipped a tooth.
Really?
No, I probably broke the bone. On the pig, so here's our tympanic bulla here. This is the ear canal, and then here's the external acoustic meatus on the pig. It goes straight up. Okay? Then we move into the skeleton. The first two things on there are the atlas and the axis. Here's our atlas. Here's our axis. Atlas, axis. Okay. Next in line, the calcaneus. Does anybody know where the calcaneus is?
Your heel?
It's right here. It's the heel. That's right. The calcaneus, the heel. The carpal bones.
Front or front?
They're going to be these ones right up here. Okay? As opposed to the tarsal bones, right? And then these are metacarpals, metatarsals, phalanges, phalanges. Cervical vertebra, how many are there?
7.
Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And what you'll notice is that the first thoracic has a rib attached. So if it doesn't have a rib, those are your 7 cervical vertebrae. Your coccygeal vertebra from the sacrum back, okay, little tail. The fibula, that's that thin one right there. Fibula, femur, right here, humerus, right here. These are all kind of in weird conjunction because I'm going down the list as opposed to across. Lumbar vertebra, well again, here's a rib. So that must be thoracic, so this is lumbar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lumbar vertebra. And then there's the sacrum. 1, 2, 3. Mandible, mandible we already talked about. Manubrium, right there. Okay. The metacarpals we talked about, and the metatarsals. What's this little process here?
Olecranon?
The olecranon
Sorry.
process, and it comes off of what bone?
Oh, it does come off.
What
of
is
the
this
ulna.
whole bone?
That's the ulna?
That's the ulna, right. So this is the ulna. Patella, that's that little kneecap right there. The pelvis. Now the pelvis does have 3 different parts to it. So you do need to know all 3 parts. This is the ilium, this portion here. This is the ischium. And then this is the pubis, okay? This is the pubic symphysis. You can see that line going down the middle, okay? Phalanges, the radius. That's this one right here, right in front of the ulna. Ribs, you guys should be able to pick those out. Sacrum, like I said earlier, it's right there. It has 3 parts. I can show you on this one as well. You see it's all fused together, but you can still see those raised up spinous process. Okay. Scapula, that's this bugger right there. The tarsal bones, that's these right here. Thoracic vertebra, including the anticlinial. Well, if it's got a rib, it's a thoracic vertebra. So we can go like that and see them. But how do we identify the anticlinial? You guys remember which one it was?
The one in the middle. Yeah.
It's the one that's in the middle, essentially.
It's the one in the middle, but what number thoracic vertebra is it?
11.
The 11th thoracic vertebra. So if we know that the dog has 13, we can go 1, 2, 3, there's the anticlinial. Or if you can't remember that, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There it is, Miss Kelly. There's the anticlinial right there. No inclination either way. Tibia, not tibula, but tibia. We already talked about the ulna. The obturator foramen. Where's the obturator foramen located, guys?
It's a hole somewhere. Oh, it's the
Pelvis.
2.
It's a hole somewhere.
Yeah.
It's a hole somewhere. It's right there.
the
Okay.
2
Obturator foramen. And the xiphoid process. Right there. Okay. And then the last ones are the fibellas. These are free-floating bones that hang out just on the back of the femur here. That's all of them. Okay.